6 is where am I? Here we are. So a solid circle at 6 and an open circle at 11. Number 8 should have been and shaded.
Why is it open?
Because it wasn't equal to.
I guess I wrote it down wrong.
Number 8 should have been an open circle at -4, shaded this way, and a closed circle at 8, shaded to the right. Number 10 was an open circle at -4, shaded in between there and +5 with a closed circle. Number 12 is closed circle at 2, shaded between an open circle at 3. Number 14 was nothing, no solution, nada. And then back over. Number 16. Ooh, sorry. Number 16, we should have gotten shaded between 40 and 70, both with closed circles. Number 18 is -1 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 4. Number 20 is you could write this either way. So if you wrote it, well, what I think that would be the better way to write it than what they did is x is greater than less, yeah, there we go. 0 is greater than x, and 3 is greater than or equal to x. Number 22 is the same idea. What with 3 is greater than or equal to x is greater than or equal to 6. Number 24 is a open circle at 4 and a closed circle at 5, shaded between them. 26 was open circle at -6, shaded to the left, and an open circle at -1, shaded to the right. And 28, A was we didn't really talk about part of this language. I'm going to put this on here. You might have written the answer a little bit different and probably fine. The way they wrote it is probably the most correct, although we didn't use this word. So from $5.60 to $8.40 inclusive. You would have had to say something along the lines of including those numbers for it to be fully right. Inclusive is the shortest way to write that. 28B is from $140 to $210 inclusive. We went through 36, yes? 32. 30 is, once you solve it, you should have gotten -4 is less than n is less than 2. And finally, 32, once you solve it, you should have ended up with 0 is less than or equal to n is less than or equal to 2. So, what questions do y'all have on that homework? Number 26. Okay, number 26 has 10m minus 7 is less than 17, or -6m is greater than 36. So, what should we do?
Solve both sides.
Solve each one. So, starting with this one over on the left, what do we want to do there?
Add 7.
Add 7. So we end up with 10m. Oh, I left something off. That should have an m on it. Do I need to come over there? What? Okay, so now that I wrote the problem right, what should we do?
Still subtract 17m from both sides.
Okay. -17m. -17m. So what happens?
Then we get -7.
-7m
Minus 7 is less than nothing.
Not nothing, but 0.
0.
Now what?
Subtract 7 equals 7.
Now what do we have?
You have -7 is less. -7n is less than -7.
That's what we actually have if we do what you say.
Oh yeah.
So what should we have done instead?
I subtracted what? You subtracted the 7 instead of adding it.
So we got to add 7 to both sides.
Oh yeah.
So we got to do the inverse.
Because then that 7 disappears and then 0 just becomes 7.
That's right.
And then we have to divide by -1 to get rid of the negative.
Divide by -7, which gives you -1, which is probably what you meant.
Yes.
M
Is less than -1.
is greater than -1.
Oh yeah. Because we divided by a negative.
because we divided by a negative. We got to remember those. That'll be an easy place to accidentally make a little mistake. Is that right there?
I did. Oh, I did.
Okay, so that's 1/2 of it. What about this half?
Divide -6 on both sides.
Divide -6 on both sides.
And then you just get -6.
M
Is less
less than
than.
-6. That's right. So now when we go to graph the thing, put a 0 on there. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and label -1 and -6. M is greater than -1. So do I do an open or a closed circle here?
Open.
Open circle. In which direction am I shading?
Shading to the right.
To the right.
Do you have to, like, for all of them, do you always have to, like, write the compound inequality, like, write them together?
If it's asking for for a compound inequality, you have to do it together. This one we're just asked to solve it and graph it. So you wouldn't have to rewrite it. I don't think, unless it said you had to. Yeah, no, it doesn't really say that. It doesn't say, if it says write your answer as a compound inequality, you would have to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
And then the next one would be an open circle at -6 shaded to the left.
Yep. Makes sense. Did we get any questions answered? Figure out any mistakes? Have any questions on that problem? Okay, what other ones do we need to see?
32.
32. One half of a number is greater than 0 and less than or equal to 1. So what do I need to write?
1 is less than or equal to -2, or 1/2 p. Okay, so 1/2 is
1/2 a number. What am I going to write now? So I wrote 1/2. Now what?
right a letter.
There you go. 1/2 in. And then what?
Greater than 1.
Greater than 0. And is less than or equal to 1. So that's what's happening here. If we wrote this as a compound inequality, it would be 1/2 in the middle, right?
Oh, I did that, except I put the 1/2 in on the wrong side. I put it on the left instead of the
Gotcha. And then 0 and less than or equal to 1. So to solve this thing, what would I do now?
divide everything by 2.
Multiply it by 2.
Yeah,
Which is dividing by a half, right? So 0 is less than n is less than or equal to 2. And then when we graph the thing, we would put a 0 and count 1, 2. And we would do an open circle here, right? And a closed circle there.
Here.
Yes. And we'd shade in between them. questions on that problem? Tulu. Okay, any other questions?
Number 8.
Number 8. Number 8 is y minus 1 is greater than or equal to 7. Or y plus 3 is less than negative 1. So what should we do here?
On which equation?
Whichever one.
For the one on the left is add 1 to both sides.
There you go. Good catch. So y
is greater than or equal to 8.
and then
This other one, you subtract 3 from both sides. And that becomes y is less than 1.
no.
Y is less than negative.
No.
Y is greater than 1.
Negative 4. Oh, right.
Oh.
Signs are the same, so we add and keep the sign. So we
You
go
just like got it wrong with a negative, so I was like, let's flip it. Let's do a positive, see if that's right.
see if it's good. He's guessing without thinking. Gonna put a 0 here and go negative 2, positive 2, 4, 6, 8, negative 4.
And then
So on this side, am I going to do an open or closed circle?
open. And you'll shade it to the left.
Shade it to the left.
And the other side is a closed circle shaded to the right.
Closed circle to the right. Questions on that problem? I bet we can take like one more.
Oh, I have a question in general.
Okay.
What's the difference between having and or the word or?
Or means that they're both true. And is they both have to be true in order to make it work.
Oh.
In this case, it's going to matter less. If it was like, but if we're shaded in the inside, if it's or, we're going to end up shading everything. Because this one would be going this way and this one would be going that way. But if it was and, it would be both.
That makes sense.
But since we're shading on the outside, it doesn't really matter. And or would look the same. Actually, that's not quite true. If it was and, it would be nothing. Huh?
Sorry.
Okay. All right. We can take one more question if we need to.
Number 14.
Number 14. Negative 4a plus 13 is greater than or equal to 29. And ten is less than 6a minus 14.
It's not us. It's not us this time. It wasn't us this time.
Surprise, surprise.
I am like so shocked.
You seem like you're half asleep today a little bit. Just saying. Just saying. So what should we do on this problem?
Add 13 to the sides.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Why would we have?
Wait, subtract.
Oh. Somebody's trying to get extra work. Minus 13. So, what do we end up with?
16.
No, it's negative 4a is greater than
Oh.
or equal to 16.
Then what?
Divide by negative 4.
So what do we end up with?
A is less than equal to -4.
Okay. Okay, so there's half of it. What are we going to do up here?
Add
Add
14.
14.
So what do we end up with?
24 is less than 6a.
Now what?
Divided by 6 on both sides.
And then you get 4. Actually, no. It's a is greater than 4. Because you have to have opposite sign.
Sounds fine. Now, we go to graph it. Both conditions have to be true for this to be true. Right? So let's test. I'm not going to do the things just for now. Let's test our intervals. What's a number over here?
Negative 6.
-6. If I plug -6 in here, is -6 less than or equal to -4?
No.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay, so this is true at that point, right? If I plug -6 in here, is -6 greater than 4? No. So that means that this interval doesn't work. What about this interval? What's the number in between here?
2.
2. Sounds great. So if I plug a 2 in there, is 2 less than or equal to -4? No. This interval doesn't work. If I plug something from over here, what's something in this interval over here?
7.
Doesn't matter. Is either 7 or 6 less than or equal to -4? No. So that interval doesn't work, which means that none of these intervals work.
No solution.
Which means that this and this,
Solitude solution.
technically it's the null set, if you want to be really technical, are the right answers. Because there's nothing that meets both of those criteria.
So whenever we get a no solution answer, do you want us to graph it or just write no solution?
I want you to graph it.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Let me save this out while I remember. What was that day? That day was, hello, watching. Where are you? I don't want you. Go away. Why is this shrunk? What is your problem? What was Thursday? Somebody just tell me. Somebody be intelligent and tell me what Thursday's date was. Do a little math.
The 9th? Wait.
There's no way it was the 9th. It wasn't that many days ago.
Yeah, you're right. The 11th.
11th or 12th?
It was the 10th.
Was it the 10th?
No. Yeah, wait, it wasn't the 10th.
Today is Tuesday, so 14th.
Okay. What was it? What was it?
Hannah says it was the 10th. And she has evidence.
Yeah, it was.
Machine. Hello.
Can I throw this paper ball?
I don't know, can you? You are.
Can I?
I don't know, can you?
May I?
No. All right. We're going to do lesson, whatever it is, 5, yeah? Is that right? 5?
6.
5.
Yeah,
What?
That would be 5.
Lesson 5, which is entitled Inequalities with Absolute Value.
Oh.
Inequalities with absolute value. Okay. Example 1. Are you okay over there? Oh, good granny boat. Absolute value of m plus 2 is less than 11. So if this were an equals, what would we do right now?
Subtract 2.
No, we would not do that.
We would
What do we have to do? We have an absolute value equation.
Isn't it always positive?
That's usually
Wait. We have to do the 2 equations.
That's right. We got to split it into 2 equations.
Oh, it's the one where you do it positive and then you have.
That's right. So m plus 2 is less than 11, and negative m plus 2 is less than 11. So for this side, what are we going to do?
Subtract 2 from both sides.
Subtract 2 from both sides.
So m is less than 9.
Less than 9. That's first half. Now this side, what are we going to do?
Negative.
How about we don't? What can we do instead of distributing it? Divide by negative 1.
I'm just going to distribute.
Don't do it. Well, you can, but it'll take more time. So m plus 2 is greater than negative 11, right?
Wait.
So divided by 9.
That's right. So then we subtract 2 from both sides. And get m is greater than negative 13.
I'm not gonna say I did it faster, but I did it faster.
Because you were trying to do it faster. You didn't do it in less steps. Facts.
Wait, I did it in just the same amount of steps, didn't I?
You should have had one more step than that.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3.
You have to divide off the one.
True facts.
Off the one.
But if you do it this way, you'll remember to flip the inequality more likely. Because you focus on it first. But either way, it will technically work. Okay, so then we go to graph the thing. And we're going to put a 0 on there. And I'm going to count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I'm going to put 9 right there, right? And I'm going to count negative 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And I'm going to put negative 13 right there. So for the negative 13, am I going to have a open or closed circle? Open circle. And I am going to put an open circle at 9. Which direction am I going to shade?
On the 13, you're going to shade to the left, right.
So I'm going to shade in between them, right? Right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's do a couple of GPs. Okay, practice 1 is the absolute value of n minus 8 is less than or equal to 2.
So
And GP number 2.
it always makes it positive, right? So like when we do the positive one, it's going to be n plus 8.
No.
Or I just do the same thing.
Do the same thing.
Okay.
We split it into a because, and the reason we do that is because it does turn whatever's inside positive. So even if you have a negative of one side, it's going to still come out the same answer. That's why we do a positive version and a negative version. I hope you do. Okay. 2c minus 5 is less than 3. All right, ready, go. Welcome back, video people. Those are the answers. They're crying about number 2. I told them they would, and it's fine. Okay, now, so the intervals we would be checking would be from 1 to 4. So if I take and I plug a number in over here in this section right here. So if I plug in 0, let's say. If I plug in a 0 right here, we end up with the absolute value of negative 5, excuse me, is less than 3. Is the absolute value of 5 less than 3? No, because what is the absolute value of 5? 5. 5 isn't less than 3. So that interval doesn't work. So our next interval, what can we put in between here? 2. Sounds great. So we ended up with 4 minus 5. So what's 4 minus 5? Negative 1. No, you don't. Pay attention. This is why you got this one wrong. Or are you talking about the other one?
No, I know part of why I got off on the wrong track because I accidentally at the top for the problem I wrote 3 instead of negative.
No. You got this one wrong because you have to check the intervals at the end. You got these numbers, didn't you? Or not?
It's 1.
Oh, you didn't get. Oh, okay. I skipped the first step here. This one would have started out as negative 2c minus 5. Excuse me. Negative 2c minus 5 is greater than 3.
Yeah, well, what I did was
And then you would divide by negative 1. And then what 2c minus 5 is oh, I wrote this wrong, didn't I? Less than 3.
What I did was I distributed, so I multiplied the negative around.
And then did you do this addition wrong, or this part right here wrong maybe?
I didn't have a negative 3 there, so that would be.
So did you divide by negative 1?
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't divide it by that. I forgot about that part.
There you go. Okay.
What I did wrong.
Okay, that's easy peasy. No, back to where I was. We're plugging a 2 in here. What's the absolute value of, or what is 4 minus 5? Negative 1. Absolute value of negative 1 is 1, right? 1. So we put 1 is less than, oh. Was I looking at the wrong? This is not no solution. Or is it? Was I looking at the wrong place? Oh, it's not no solution. Actually, the one we did, I lied. I copied it down wrong. This should have been negative 3. That one would be no solution. This one is, in fact, a solution because this is true.
I got it right.
So this one actually gets graphed this way. So that's the answer. I lied.
That's what I got.
Because I copied down the problem from the book wrong. So let's do the one that I meant to do together, and let's check it and do it that way. And we'll do one that gives us no solution. Because that's what I meant to do. Which means that part is wrong, right? So we'll call this guided practice number 3, but it's not really guided practice, it's really an example, but that's fine. Because we're going to end up doing it together. So the same thing, absolute value of 2c, and actually you could kind of minus 5 is less than negative 3. We honestly don't really even have to do anything. We could just look at it and say the answer is no solution. Or the null set.
Because it's negative on the.
Because it's negative.
On the right.
What is this side always going to be once you finish it?
Positive.
Positive. And a positive number is never going to be less than a negative number. So our answer would be the nothing, and it would be the null set. Are we seeing how I'm writing the null set? Like this. That's your answer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if we're doing this, it has a negative number on the right, it's always going to be a.
Well, if it's a negative number, it's greater than a positive number. Like if this was flipped around, this would have a solution.
Okay.
In fact, it would be all real numbers. Because all real numbers are positive than negative 3. Or all real numbers would give you an answer that's positive than negative 3. Right? Okay. Okay. Let's do, excuse me, another example. Absolute value of 3n plus 6 is greater than or equal to 12. So what are we going to do now?
Divide it or separate. Yeah.
Split it into 2. What's the first one going to be?
3n plus 6 is greater than or equal to 12.
What is the second one going to be?
Negative.
3 and minus 6 is going to.
Wait, it's plus 6.
How? Plus 6.
Because
When you distribute it or where you divide it.
that's the way the
That's because it's plus 6 right there. Does that make sense? Yes? No? I feel like you're out on a loop today. Come back to us.
No.
So on this side, we divide by -1, right? And end up with 3n plus 6 is less than -12, right? And then we subtract 6 on both sides on both equations, right? And we'd end up with 3n is greater than or equal to 6 over here. And on this side, we end up with 3n is less than -18, right? Quit scrunching paper and do the problem.
It's too satisfying.
Okay. And divide by 3 on both sides, on both things.
Doesn't it stay less than or equal to? Does it stay that?
Oh, yeah, I forgot the equals, huh? So on this side, we end up with n is greater than or equal to 2. And on this side, we end up with n is less than or equal to -6. Right? Are you just hoping I did it right? Should have written it wrong. Then you would have been up a creek, wouldn't you?
Maybe.
Maybe not. Okay, so then we're going to graph our answers. And we're going to check our intervals. So we're going to do filled in circles.
When is our next test?
I don't know. We'll do this lesson today and the next lesson on Thursday, then the review on Tuesday. So probably a week from Thursday.
I'm not going to be here that Thursday.
Okay, well, you're going to have to take your test either before or quickly after. Okay.
Well,
0.
I just don't take the test. I just get 100.
That ain't going to work for me. 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to do filled in circles. If I put a -7 in here, -7 times 3 is
-21.
-21 plus 6.
-27. Oh, -15.
-15. Absolute value of -15 is +15. So this interval works, right? So a number in between here, if I plug a 0 in there, 0 plus 6 is still 6. What's the absolute value of 6? 6. So 6 is 6 greater than or equal to 12? Yes or no? No. So this interval doesn't work. Check over here. If I put a 3 in there, what's 3 times 3? 9 plus 6 is 15. What's the absolute value of 15?
15.
Is 15 greater than 12?
Yes.
So this interval works. So we're shading this way and this way.
But does it only works if it only is no solution if none of them work?
That's right.
What if only one of them works?
Then you only shade that way.
You only shade on one of them or on both of them?
You would, if only one of them works, you would only shade on the one that works.
So whenever you're doing the checking the intervals, so you just pick a number and check to see if it's true to the statement.
Mm-hmm. If it's true for one thing over here, it's true for everything over there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Blapo. Okay.
There it is.
Yeah.
No.
It's purple now.
It's a purple.
How dare you?
How
It
dare you?
has to be yellow.
Page 314, numbers
Oh, wait, what page?
8
12 through 10.
through 12 through 10. You got to go backwards. Through 34 evens. Okay, that's it. That's all you got.
It's the same amount as last time. It's not bad.
It's actually less than last time, technically. Oh no, it is the same. Do it 6 through 32. Yeah, you're right. You right.